everybody. I know that this video has been asked for and it's been a while since I said I would do it, but I just had my birthday and Mother's Day and my son's birthday and we're busy. And then yesterday, I didn't do anything. I woke up with a migraine. So I'm going to do it right now. So again, PSA, this is how I do my tumblers and they seem to work for me. Everybody is different. Every process is different. Just because it works for me doesn't necessarily mean it's going to 100% work for you. And it looks like I have a lazy eye. But this is just how I do it. So I'm going to go over the supplies that I have. I have posted in the group a few times, and I think there is one long post on all of the materials that you will need for sublimation. We ended up getting a convection oven instead of using a mug press or the mug press attachment. I've heard mixed reviews about the Cricut mug press, but it is more cost effective and if you're just doing coffee mugs. But we use a convection oven that was like 40 or 50 bucks from Walmart, and I'm going to show you the brand that we use. I'm going to walk you through the process that I use. Now we use Silhouette Studio, the business edition, for printing, but as long as you use any program that you can set your sheet to 9.5 to by 8, because that's what I print mine off of. I print them off between 9.5 and 9.53 by 8 inches, and that leaves me a little white seam at the top and the bottom. I like that, actually. I don't like the full 100% covered. So again, we use Silhouette Studio. It is a free program, but we just have the business edition, and I'm not sure what the difference is yet because we haven't gone too far into Silhouette right now. We're just doing tumblers. So I'm going to jump into the oven, and then I'm going to show you how it looks in Silhouette Studio. So this is the oven that I use. This is a Hamilton Beach convection oven, and as you can see, I don't change anything on here. Once you sublimate into an oven, you cannot use that for food anymore. So do not, I repeat, do not sublimate anything in something that you will cook with later on. So no home ovens. Oops, sorry. So just buy you a cheap convection or baking oven. The only difference is, I was told, was when you do it on baking, the air circulates. When you do it on convection, it doesn't, or I might have those backwards. Either way, I'd set mine to convection. I set it a little bit past 350. I'm guessing that's about 360, 370. I started out at 400 degrees, but it was burning the tape. So I just, again, you have to play with it. And I will try and get the link. Dope and Crafty, where we get our tumblers, they do sell play tumblers, like practice tumblers that are very inexpensive, but they just have flaws, but you can use them to practice with. So again, and then I have the one that you can, leave it off or stay on. And then this, you need this. So my convection oven does not tell me when it reaches the required temperature. So that was like $5 at Walmart, and it sits in there and it'll tell me whenever it's hot. So there we have it. And I just leave it unplugged whenever we're not using it, just in case fire hazard or whatever. So that's the oven that we use. Okay, so this is Silhouette Studio, the business edition. And let me tell you something. So we spent about $10 on templates from Etsy, because that's what we thought we had to do. We went through like 4 or 5 templates before I realized that we could just, once you get your measurements, it's the same for all of the same type of tumblers. So we only use the 20-ounce skinny tumblers. That's all we use. And so we just use the same measurement for everything. Now, and I like Silhouette Studio because, let's just do this from the beginning. So when I have, you can see all these other designs I've been working with. So once I make a design, if I'm going to keep it, I just throw it off to the side, off of the mat. I do like that compared to Cricut. There really is no way for Cricut, because once it's on the grids, then it tries to print the whole thing. But with Silhouette, you can just throw them off the mat, and whatever's on the mat is what's going to be printed, and then you don't have to get rid of these. So I have all of the designs I've made or I'm working on just thrown off to the side, and then I just leave it in this one template. So whenever I get ready to make another one, I have a folder, and you can use any picture. I wouldn't suggest copyrighted. I'm not going to say that. But you can use any picture. That's the greatest thing about sublimation designs. You can use anything. So I found a picture that I really loved, and everybody says, oh, you don't use anything you make. Well, now I'm going to. So what you can do is just take it from your folder and bring it over, and it's going to be the original size. And then all you have to do is up here from width and height is 9.5. I'm going to go 3, so there's a little overlap for the color, by 8. And there we have it. And it will print off on an 8.5 by 11 sheet. And that is going to be my design. So again, I'm working with Silhouette Studio. Whenever I am ready, I will print. And this is a big thing. You need to make sure, okay, so I'm using my sublimation printer. Go to preferences. Let's see if you can get closer. Okay. Sorry for that. So the way I have mine set up is I already have a preset in there. So you want an 8.5 by 11, and it needs to be landscape. We do presentation paper mat, high for quality, and then color, of course. So, but you're not done there. Go to more options, and it needs to be mirrored image. I'm going to say this again. It needs to be mirrored image. I'm going to always double check all my settings. Click OK and print. And it's going to print on my 2720, and we will come back whenever it's done, because it takes about 2 or 3 minutes. While that is printing, I'm going to prep my tumbler. So we get our tumblers from Dope and Crafty. We found them on TikTok. I ordered, and within 2 days I received our tumblers. Let me just throw that out there. Tumblers are pricey. That's why we price our tumblers starting at $35. And the only reason that it would be anything more than $35 is if they add a name, because that's extra work for us. So it's like $2 or $3 more. If we have to do any of the research for the designs that are not on our website, or that they didn't upload, because I have a custom order link on our website for these with designs that I've found, or they can upload their own picture. If there's any extra work that we have to do, we charge accordingly. So anyway, these cups come with a lid and a plastic straw. I know people prefer metal straws, but they do cost extra, so we just get the plastic straw. So I'm just getting some rubbing alcohol, and I'm just cleaning these. Now, we did order some cups from China, from Alibaba, because we had ordered those before I found Dope and Crafty. Those, after shipping, once you calculate shipping, they came out to like $4 or $5 a piece with the cup and the lid and the straw. Dope and Crafty, they're anywhere from $7 to $9 a piece. when you look online. No matter who sells them, they all get them pretty much from China, and they're all between 7 and 9. So find you a good vendor and just stick with that, and then, you know, charge accordingly. Like I said, we charge $35 for these because of the design, the ink, the tape, our labor, and these are, after shipping, run about $10. So a piece. All right, so this is done. We're going to let that print, and the way I do mine is I use heat tape to put the design on the cup, and then I use masking tape. I don't use the heat wraps, the shrink wraps. I use masking tape. And then you will also need some heat gloves. We get these from Walmart. And don't do like I did. When you put it in the oven, I put it too close to those things. So 2 of our cups have these burn marks, and I'm going to try and cover them with like a black design. I just haven't found one I liked yet. So that's almost printing, and I'll be back. So now that it's printed, it won't look very vibrant. I mean, it does kind of, but it's going to look different than it does on your cup. So I'm going to just trim around my picture, get all the white off. Now I will say not every single cup's going to come out perfect. Some people, you know, like to say, oh, every single cup comes out amazing. I don't believe that. Just because, I mean, I could do 3 cups in a row. Same temperature, same way I tape them up, exact same thing for every single cup. But yet, one of them will probably not come out right. Not bad enough to where I have to throw the cup away, but not like perfect. Okay, so I have my design. I'm going to move the camera. So here's my cup, and the way that I do it, you could probably find a better way, but is I just wrap it around first, and then get as close to the top, but leaving a gap. I kind of want it even between the top and the bottom. That's good. So I have learned I'm not going to tape the design to the cup itself. That tends to leave heat or tape residue once the tape gets too hot. So you just want to line up, make sure it's even, because you'll be able to tell if not, and pull it as tight as possible from both sides. Hold it, and I'm going to lay a piece of tape right there just to hold that in place, and I'm going to do the same thing for the rest of the cup. I'm going to squeeze it down. You want to make sure like there's no paper pulling, like a pull. You want it to lay as flat and tight as possible because that ink has to get into the cup. Heat tape is a must for this first layer. Like, do not skip out on it, and it's not that expensive. So there it is on there, and now I'm just going to go through and tape up the seam, tape around the top and the bottom to close those. You don't want any gaps in this paper because air will get down in there, and then you'll get what they call ghosting or maybe some streaks. Now, it probably would be better with maybe some 2-inch tape, but you know, I didn't know that whenever we started out, so I just got this tape. And if you see any puckering, try and get that off. You don't want that. Again, I'm just going to do the top. Now the heat tape, as you can see, I have it folded over the edge. That will not really leave any residue on the inside of the cup. If it does, you can take it off with some rubbing alcohol, but you cannot get rubbing alcohol, at least in my experience. I had somebody say that it works for them, but rubbing alcohol, nail polish remover, if you have like tape residue on your cup itself, it will take the color off. I don't know how people say it doesn't, but it will. So you just gotta keep washing it and buffing it with some Dawn soap, and you don't want to use a scrub pad, so we just use a washcloth or our hands. I'm just taping up the seam again to make sure that it is laying down flat, which is probably kind of redundant because I'm about to do that with some masking tape, but you know, there is a way to cover up or take the images off. It's a long process, and I'd prefer not to do that. So if I can just take the extra time to add more tape, that's what I'll do. So the next thing you need is what they call a washout paper. It's just a regular old white piece of paper, which I need to get. I did not use this before in the beginning, and we had a ton of tape residue and tape markings you could see through because the tape gets so hot, the masking tape, that it goes through the design. That probably wouldn't happen with a shrink wrap, but we're just not going to spend the extra money on shrink wrap because, again, that raises the price of these tumblers, and they're already expensive. So we're going to do the same thing. Just going to pull it as tight as possible, and I'm just going to use some heat tape right now to keep it closed. I've seen people use painter's tape as well instead of masking tape. I have not personally used the painter's tape yet. So I'm just trimming this excess white paper off the top so it's even. And next thing we're going to need, you can brand this on the bottom by printing out your logo or your name for this bottom and sublimating it at the same time you do your design. But this is my cup, so I didn't do that. So we need the masking tape. And all we're going to do is start at this top, and I'm not going to have it dip over. I just want it around the top. So I'm going to hold that, and I am just pulling as tight as I can and pushing it down around the cup. You want it as tight as possible. Just like that. So now we're just going to do the rest of it. Don't hit yourself in the face because I have done that. And again, if you see any bubbles, just push them down because you want that tape completely tight. Now while I'm doing this, I will say the settings I used, we went through 3 or 4 different time settings on our oven before I got the one that I really like. So again, we do anywhere from 350 to 370, and I will do it anywhere from about 5:15 to 5 minutes and 30 seconds. And if you watch other YouTube videos or creators that do this, they'll do almost up to 6 minutes. I don't do that, and mine still come out just as vibrant. Because I've noticed after a while, the longer it is, the tape does tend to burn, and you don't want your tape to burn. The rule of thumb is as soon as you see the design through the paper, it's pretty much there. Again, we're just going to go around this bottom. I don't want to fold it over, so I'm going to make sure I stay on the white part, pulling it as tight as possible all the way around. I'm just going through and seeing if my paper moves at all, because again, we want that paper, the design flush to your cup. And the next thing I'm going to do is, I forgot to mention these earlier. So around the seams, as just an extra layer, I bought these silicone bands, 2-inch bands from Amazon. I have tried the band trick where instead of using masking tape, you just cover the cup with these bands. It didn't really save me much more time. And when the cups came out, though they were, just about flawless, I could see the imprints from the bands on the design. You can't see it unless you're turning it, a certain way. And I'm sure the customer themselves probably would never notice, but because, we make the items, we know what we're looking at. I knew it was on there. I still sold them with a PSA on there, but I've had people say, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. I can see it. So I stopped doing that. And again, like I said, it doesn't really take me any less time to have the bands all the way around than just by doing it with tape. So we're going to stick this standing up in the oven for 5 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay, so normally when it's done, you use your mitt and you take it out of the oven and immediately start taking the tape and everything off of it. So I saw a tip of putting it right into water after it comes out of the oven, so I figured, hey, I will try it while we're on video. So I went outside and washed it down because we don't have a sink here in the studio. And plus the added benefit is I can now touch it without burning myself. Normally I have to use a pick and a glove and have to be careful not to scratch the cup, which I don't. I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use the pick. Okay, so we need to take everything off. I know they said that the water trick works really well for the shrink wrap because then the paper doesn't get wet. My paper got wet a little bit, but I mean, it's already sublimated in there. I'm not worried about my design getting wet. It's just, when paper gets wet, it tends to stick. So again, let's see. Like I've said, hopefully this comes out because it's like a catch-22. I mean, they hit and miss sometimes. Now, I will say this. Tape is a lot easier to get off when it's hot, because you know the tape is melted. But yeah, I saw this trick in one of the Facebook groups I'm in, so I was like, I'll give that a try on my tumbler, so I'm not just wasting one, because I'll still use it. Now be careful when you use a pick or something to break this tape up, because you can scratch your sublimated design, so you don't want that to happen. Now, you will see some white, like it looks like powder on here. That's just the paper, and it will wash off. What I'm looking for is the tape residue. So I don't really feel any tape residue, but as you can see, there's this white on here. So I'm going to go back and wash it again, and I'll be back. So I went and washed it, and it came off, and I'm about to dry it now, and we will see if I can see any marks from the bands or tape. And oh my god, it looks, and you know, the biggest thing is too, especially with dark designs, just rub your hand over it, and I can see a little bit of streak just from the tape, but no like gum residue, because that's what I was worried about. I probably could go for another wash, just because I did get a notice that some of the tumblers that a lot of people have ordered because of the Chinese New Year, they did not cure all the way. And this one, I guess you can always, let me start over. If you order some tumblers and the first one you get came out like that, and you wash it and it comes off, but you can still see some little specks, it's fine. Just keep washing it. It will come off. But what you need to do for the rest of your tumblers, because this one must have got missed in the pile, is cure your tumblers. Nothing on them in the oven, not one that you eat out of, for 15 minutes at 400 degrees. Because it was put out in the tumbler community that because of the Chinese New Year, a lot of the companies in China did not cure their tumblers all the way, and that's why you're seeing the white spots. So no biggie. I just pop it in the oven. And I'm probably going to make that a habit, no matter what, is when I order tumblers, I'm just going to cure them. Even if they've been cured, I'll just do it a second time. It doesn't hurt them. So as you can see, it came out. And there is my seam, so you can see the seam. I'm not worried about it because it does not look bad. And you can see where it kind of fell right there, but again, I'm not worried about it. It still looks good. So there is the cup. Now, I also offer care cards with all of my cups that I send out, just to let them know to always wash before first use, because, you know, with us handling them and COVID, and to not use abrasive soaps or scrubs, because it will scrub off if you scrub hard enough. It can be used in the dishwasher, but of course it's stainless steel, so not in the microwave. My partner's been using hers, and my mom's been using hers for a while now, and they say that these work almost as great, if not better, than the Yeti cups. My best friend Regina had her ice in hers all day long. So I finally have one now too. So I hope this video helps, and I covered all the basics. There are a ton of YouTube videos out there. If you are on TikTok, there are a ton of TikToks out there, though they tend to go really fast. I have listed previously in this group all of the materials that we use, the printer, the paper, and the ink. But yes, I believe that is it. Again, we use Silhouette Design, and it's a free software to download. We just got the business for some extra stuff. I just can't remember what we got the business for. I just know we got the business one. And this was a 9.5. Let me get you the exact measurements. This one was actually a 9.53 by 8 inches. So 8 inches, no matter what's going to give you this little white band, which I like personally. You can play around with it if you want complete coverage from top to bottom. That looks like it's about 1/4 of an inch added together. And then 9.53, this probably could have gone down to a 9.5, but there isn't really much detail past this, and I didn't want to end up with a ghost seam, which will happen if your paper isn't completely closed all the way right here on this seam. So yeah, I will try and get the link to where we get our tumblers, but you can get them from anywhere. Everybody pretty much sells them from the same place overseas and around the same price. So actually try and find one that's close to you, and then you won't have to pay that much shipping. Look on Facebook and TikTok. But we use Dope and Crafty, dopeandcrafty.com. DOPE and the word and CRAFTY.com, I believe is the website. And she's really good with shipping. She's really good with responses. I even follow her on TikTok, and she responds to comments on there too. I mean, they're really an amazing small business. So thank you. If you have any questions, let me know. I hope I covered all the bases, and I will see y'all later.